people in this country usually sound like they're hungry for change. And you will hear people saying, who are we electing this time? Anybody but so-and-so. Whether it's from the Kajura level, MCA, whether it's MP, whether it's woman rep, whether it's governor, even at president, you'll be like, no, this person, not anymore, not again. We do not want that. We want change. And we talk about change all the time. And we've seen that change manifest in elections. So we see a change at the beginning of a new parliament. You see very many new MPs or MPs who are returning. They were there before, they were removed, they're coming back. We've seen the same with governors. Governors come, they serve one term, they're removed, and then they come back. Case in point, we hosted him just the other day. The current governor for Wajir County, who's the chairman of the Council of Governors, was there in the first term, was not elected in the second term. He has now been re-elected in 2022. And so on and so forth. People want change. Yeah. This time, even the president acknowledges that people are baying. There are some people who are baying for his, they will say, anybody but Ruto. Ruto must go. Even he said, acknowledged that yesterday. It's like, these people are just shouting, Ruto must go.
Right.
But if you look at what was happening now with the formation of a new coalition of the leaders in the opposition coming together, plus leaders who have been kicked out of Ruto's government, also just joining in and saying, we are forming a formidable opposition. People are starting to look at them as, okay, yeah, finally, our leaders are coming together to bring change. But look at those leaders. It's a former deputy vice president, it's a former minister, another former minister, a former deputy president, a former attorney general and speaker, a former minister with a scandal of a former this and the other. They're all people who've been in the system. Is that change? When you say we are talking about change and people are saying, all right, yeah, I think now we can see, you know, these names are now starting to look like they're coalescing. Are we talking about change? Is there any opportunity that we have that we can start looking at and encouraging other people to come forth who have leadership qualities and saying, you have leadership qualities, let's consider you, let's campaign for you, let's put you out in front of other people. That's why I'm saying today, all this talk of, oh, Ruto must go, oh, who must come back, oh, we want change, oh, we want change, and you're saying we're ready for change. If the options we have right now are what we're discussing and we're ready for change, miss me with that.
Ooh. Majam.
Nimekasirika yangu yote.
Yako yote. Before we even dissect that, because there's a lot to think about, as much as I think I want to change and I think we want to change. The president said, ni kama mtangojea kidogo. Listen into what he had to say.
Sasa mimi nataka niwaambie waungwana, mambo yenu ya ukabila, mambo yenu ya chuki, mambo yenu ya mikawanyiko, mambo yenu ya masgo, mungojee kidogo tupange mambo ya waendeleo ya Kenya, tutakutana na nyinyi hapo mbele. Mimi nataka niulize wale watu wa masgo, mimi nataka niwaambie, kabla mujasema Ruto must go, pangeni sera ya wananchi. Wananchi wanataka kujua, sisi tumepanga kutengeneza barabara, nyinyi mmepanga nini?
Sisi tumepanga kutengeneza barabara, nyinyi mnatengeneza nini? Eric, I get exactly where you are coming from, because in the time since October last year, June last year, the president has coalesced, coalesced is a word, yes, and really galvanized and pulled power close to him. He's made friends of old enemies. He's not made many new enemies, except maybe with the electorate. I don't know, can't speak for the electorate. We'll see in 2027 or 2026. But he has managed to give us the illusion of change while recycling the exact same faces that we've been used to. He fired, dismissed an entire cabinet, brought people who have all served in one capacity or the other in government. He has made friends with the opposition, with Raila Odinga, and so on and so forth. So I do get what you mean when you say, miss me with that. I disagree, however.
Oh.
You disagree?
I do. That we're not ready for change. That we don't actually want change.
Okay. Can I ask something?
Ask.
Have I distracted
no,
your
thought,
your trail of thought, Mariam? So you're saying Kenyans are not ready for change because of the same crop of leaders, or genuinely we think we're ready for change but we're not? We want a continuum of what has existed. Because it could be that we want change, or Kenyans want change. Number one, it could be, do they just want reprieve, whatever that means? Or you're saying, no, Kenyans don't want change because all you're doing is recycling the same old people. What's the difference? What exactly are you speaking to?
The latter. You see, change, if you go into a forest and find 2 monkeys, pick one monkey, come and put it in your cage at home, and you're domesticating it, okay? And then you realize that this monkey is still behaving badly and all. Pick this monkey, go back to that forest, pick the second monkey and bring it to your cage. Have you changed anything? You have brought brother A to your cage, taken him back, picked brother B, brought him back to the cage. It's monkey, right? And you're saying, I do not want this thing, it eats my bananas, it's eating all my bananas, it's just demanding, it don't want to eat anything else. And I wish it wanted mangoes, I wish it wanted nuts. Then you go and you say you have, what you can afford to feed this pet of yours is nuts, not bananas. And this thing is asking for bananas. You go back to the forest, you pick the thing that eats bananas and bring it back into this cage and say, now here, I wanted change, here are nuts. You think that monkey is going to take nuts because you brought it there and it's changed? It's the same thing we are doing. We are looking at this one monkey, we have brought it here, we have put it in the cage, we've realized, my God, we can't feed this thing because everything we have here is nuts. So let's look at, you know, there's this other beautiful monkey. In fact, that one, its fur was much better. In fact, that one was just coming and jumping onto me and just sitting on my shoulder. Let me go and bring that other monkey and put it in my cage. Maybe it will eat my nuts.
Is everything okay?
Before we land at Mariam's, Mariam,
Because you have
something.
Thoughts. Go on.
Maybe it's not about. Maybe it's not thinking about it as replacing. I've even drawn a table here. Yours was a forest, mine is a table. So we're saying the table is broken, and some of the people who are responsible for breaking the table are asking for a seat back, right? So you came on the table, you found it broken, you broke it further, you left. Maybe now it's to think about it as saying, these folks who want to come back, maybe they're going to use the table, maybe they're going to use their seat to fix the broken table.
And stop calling it change.
What are we calling it if it's not change?
Just say.
But you broke the table, you came back and you're like, you know what, I want to repair this. I feel like I shouldn't have broken the table. I can see the mistake I made. So rather than using my seat to further damage it, I want to use my seat to fix the table and change it.
So are you changing the table or are you changing the fundi? Because this fundi came, broke your table.
Mariam.
Yes, Mariam.
Usianguke, Mariam, please.
Okay. We're not the ones picking the monkeys.
Who is picking the monkeys?
The monkeys are picking each other. We're not the ones picking the monkey.
Okay.
We are ready for change.
Okay.
We are not the ones going out into the forest and bringing the monkeys. The monkeys are picking each other, selecting, making us feel like we have made the choice. So what we're seeing right now is a situation where the political class has coalesced, but not the people.
Okay.
And that should not be confused for us wanting them in power. In the last year or two, I've seen an actual shift away from Tuetu politics. We still have a lot of it. I'm not excusing, but in large part, we have moved from this is my person to unasema nini. What are you saying and why are you saying it? What are you bringing to the table? Why are you not fighting for me? That is an indicator to me that we want change. Two, we've seen concerted effort to be involved in politics, and not just elective politics, but to be involved in electoral processes, in legislation, in policy making, in everything from people. We watched IEBC interviews. We actually cared that there was an IEBC being constituted and what that would mean for us come election time. We followed through that whole thread. That is an indicator of wanting change to me. If they have coalesced and decided we're rotating from monkey 1 and monkey B, the monkeys are endorsing each other. The monkeys are saying, we want monkey A, we're friends with... No. It's not us picking them. It is them saying, we have formed this alliance, we have done this, we will, tumetenga, tume what. That's all on them. Now, and this
So
is
what are
I'm
you,
saying,
the people, doing?
Hold on.
You are observing.
Nasema msiniangushe, as I'm making this case for all of us. The proof will be in the pudding on election day.
Don't
and
make
as
me
we
regret
continue,
what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as we get closer to election day and all the decisions that happen between now and 2027, that will be the proof of whether we are really ready for change.
Mariam, you know, you're walking past this person, seated, right? Asleep. You go, you talk to Janet, you pass back, you find this person is seated, asleep. You come and talk to me, you go back, you find that person is seated, asleep. And then you say, I'm sure by the time nifika ile nini utakuwa umefika Mombasa.
What makes you think the person is asleep, Eric?
Everything. They
Okay.
are snoring, they are lying down, their eyes are closed, they are inactive. That is sleep.
So those
They're
are
not-
Kenyans.
They are not moving.
Inactive.
Because, and those are Kenyans, Janet. So we are saying...
Mandamano is inactivity.
We are saying-
Public
since-
participation is inactivity.
Since then, you see Mandamano and all, and I completely agree. Yes, Mandamano and all. You're saying that the political class are picking themselves as leaders.
Yes, they are.
Okay?
They're endorsing themselves.
They are
Let me not say
endorsing
yes,
themselves
yes,
as leaders.
Yes.
All right? What are the citizens doing?
They're also endorsing their own leaders
Which
in
ones?
parallel.
Which ones?
Okiya Omtata, David Maraga. I'm not sure if Morera Kebaso has steam behind him, but at least that's a name that's been out there. There's pushes. Oh, you need to run for this. You need to run for that. Hanifa, run for this. Run for that. That all of
Kivutha
that.
Kibwana.
Bob Njagi, Kivutha Kibwana. All of those.
Fantastic. And I thank you because you've brought up those names. All right? Walk out here right now on Kimathi Street and ask people, so, unaona siasa ya Kenya ikiendaje? Tell me how many people are going to come back here and mention Maraga, Ruben Kigame, Bob Njagi, Okiya Omtata, and the others. We always have other people who come out on the ballot, all right? But then we dismiss them. We laugh at them. We look at this guy and we're like, oh, Jamata James, Ekuru Auko. How do you even pronounce his name? Ekuru Aukot.
Abdubadu.
Ati Abduba.
Dida.
Huyu jamaa alikuwa very entertaining kwa debate.
Yeah.
Alikuwa entertaining sana kwa debate. It ends there. How many of the voters actually end up saying that, yes, we participated in looking for and acknowledging and seeing that there's a leader in so-and-so, encouraging them and even voting for them? That's why you see millions will vote for these so-called candidates. Let me now just using the millions will vote for the monkeys, okay? To come into the cage to eat the nuts. 2 people will vote for the squirrel that could come into the cage and eat the nuts. That is, and that's why I say, we are here, we are saying we want to change. We want to change our leadership.
Right.
We want to change the way we are governed, but we are not actively looking for the leader. We are not actively having a conversation around this is a suitable alternative. We are looking at suitable alternatives from the same crop of the old who are contributors to the challenges that we've had.
Again, let me show you change. In the last election cycle, or before the last election cycle, how many people knew that there's such a thing as a budget policy statement? There's a finance bill that then decides what we're spending, how much we're spending, and what we're spending it on, outside of the briefcase that used to be carried by the finance minister. I would give you maybe 10%, I don't know, 10, 20% at best. Right now, at least we all know kuna kitu inaitwa finance bill. Let's go back. Last election cycle, how many people cared who is on the IEBC selection panel, who gets to be an IEBC commissioner, who wants to be an IEBC chairperson, and what kind of leadership qualities am I looking for? Again, minuscule percent of the population. Right now, all of us are like, eyes on the ball, eyes on the ball. Last election cycle, how many of us were this involved in anything to do with governance? A show like Fixing the Nation that was on air 6 to 10 a.m. every day discussing governance, policy, everything that's happening on the headlines, everything outside of it, healthcare, education, sector reforms, all of that. Where was that? All those things did not exist. Those are indicators of change, wanting change to me. Now, Apokwa, we don't have a person journey, but we are on the journey. We're not asleep. We're not on the bench asleep, as you've purported, Eric. We are trying to catch up.
Trying to catch up. I'm listening to the two of you, and it's like a hybrid. I think Kenyans want change, but Kenyans don't know how to agitate for that change in its totality. You can agitate by pushing back on the Reject Finance Bill, which, again, indication ready for change. You can agitate by saying, we're going to translate this and make sure everybody understands. We're going to make our voices heard. I think we get stuck in terms of exploring an alternative. We are arrested and almost imprisoned is a big word by what we've always known. So I'm almost seeing where both Mariam and Eric are coming to, where it's like Kenyans want change, yes. However, to your point, we're not willing, or we're trying to find, we're not as intentional or aggressive about pushing outside the box that we're used to. We know a lot of people have talked about Okiya Omtata. We'll run his clip just now and hear about him. But what does it mean to fully throw your weight behind somebody who you want to take leadership? I think that's where the problem is. I don't know if it's about not wanting change. I think we are alive to the fact that Kenyans want change. I think we haven't had enough rehearsal to figure out how do you move from what you want to what becomes. Now, right now, there's a lot working against what the majority of especially young voices are saying. We don't want the Avengers. We don't want them. Bring DC Comics.
These guys are reverse Avengers. We need a name. We need a name.
Reverse Avengers.
Yeah.
But yet, maybe is there something to think about strategic leadership? Maybe is there something to think about? I know we're saying having a new person. That's virtuous. That's amazing. But is there naivety to saying that this person can thrive without the experience of the others? I think we want change. I don't know that we fully know how to lean in to change in its totality, and that is a problem.
You know, when we say, many times we read headlines and we say, "Ay, Ama, we are not angry enough." I mean, that's why they're so used to us. They know you will make a little bit of noise, but it'll end there, right? They've learned the game. They know. They know. Ni sawa, utakuja, utachukua nyani moja hapa, utaenda, utaifeed, utatafutia monkey, utatafutia mandizi. Utakosa pesa, utarudi hapa, uchukue nyani ingine. Uende hapo, uipatie macadamia, ishindwe kukula macadamia. Uende kwa soko, ununue mandizi, uipatie. In the end, the monkey that's in the cage will eat a banana. And they know that, the monkeys. Now here you are yearning for change. That's what we're saying. We know we want change. I'm sure there's a quote somewhere, Janet, that you'll find somebody saying, what's in your mind, you've got to translate it into action. And you've got to overcome all those barriers, mental barriers, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but
ourselves can free our mind.
This is it. We've got to take action. And that action cannot just be, we sit back and you're like, okay, so, but you see, it's a journey. You see, Jana, I had thought the intro, I'd written the executive summary. Now, today, I'm at least, in my mind, I'm working on the budget, and then this will be my business plan. I will go to look for financing from a financial. Write it down, go to a bank.
Before we do, will you remember the fault?
Yes,
I just want to bring in feedback from people. Paul Minus, Taki Mapepe. If we want politics to tone down and elections to be less competitive, we should reduce salaries of all elective posts. Okay, that's part of the conversation. Samuel, what was the opposition champion since Raila left? We've also been asking, where's the opposition? McCoy, one password official. Unfortunately, some people try to have a taste of the monkey's food, and that's where we end up being a group of monkeys. The difference is how much you can consume. I know the change is in our minds. Jeremy Mutuma, Eric's monkey, forest, and farmer example is making some sense. I also think Kenyans want change, but they lack knowledge on which route to go. I'm on Jeremy's point, by the way. That's where I am. Finally, M, before we come back to Mariam, I think there's a shift in how we view politics, and it's coming from the younger generation. The older generation are the Eric's monkey owners, but the youth are actively looking for squirrels. Thank you guys for threading on this metaphor.
Right.
Mariam, you're going to say
I
an
want you
argument.
to see the squirrels in the cage.
the basis of your argument is that there is a way to affect this change and that there is a route. It's Nairobi to Mombasa. You pass, you go, you Imara Daima, I don't know, Emali, Mtitwande, Voi.
Kiboko.
Usisahau
Kiboko tafadhali.
And then you're in Mombasa. There's many ways to skin a cat. I think just because the change doesn't look like what we think it should look like doesn't mean that the change isn't happening, doesn't mean that there is inactivity. Just because it is not, the structured way that you think that this change will happen doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. There's something that, who is this? Star Kenya. Change will come unexpectedly, just like the Gen Z thing was unexpected. It will be radical, messy, and how we coalesce as a country from that point actually is the big question. That's his view, and I think I agree in large part with what he said. It will come in its own form at its own time. The makings are there, the underbelly is there, the fire is there, everything feeding into it is there. It may just not look like, hey, we formed Party X and we nominated candidate Y and now we're voting for them, and that's change.
I really like that.
I can see where this argument is going. Can I just counter it just a little bit? There's a structured way in which we've all agreed we are going to pick a leader. It's an election. It's a ballot. Okay? There's a journey towards that. We know a date. We may argue on the two dates, but the courts will clarify. Let's just say we know a date, August 2027. Okay? And there's how we shall do it. In the run-up to it, there's the things that you do. You have candidates who are, proposed by people who come out and they propose themselves and they garner support and they're campaigned for and they get elected by majority and they become the leader. There's a journey to that. Now, here what I'm hearing Star Kenya and others saying is that let's just sit there, vibes, and inshallah, alhamdulillah, August, Mwenyezi Mungu akiamua atatupatia kiongozi.
I think
it shall not be last year was a good moment of eruption, organic and all, but we can't sit and hope that there'll be another one, and that's when we shall take action again.
I think Kenyans want change. I think there might be need to think about a hybrid approach. Very unpopular opinion. I know some of you all going to come for me. But maybe it's the timelines. Maybe I'm the one in the cage. Maybe I'm actually trying to think pragmatically and say, we do want change. Collectively, we do. To his point, what are we doing towards that? We are speaking about fronting certain people. I don't know if we're doing it as loudly as could be done, which is why I think that if we want change, we go back to that table. The problem here, Nihi Meza. Remember, this table is broken. Last year during the protest, people were like, take that table, throw it away. It's broken. There's no repairs. Take it away, throw it away. So now, is it worth to Equa storage to say, I know it's broken. I know here we put some glue and tape.
Right.
Can we return some of these people who have said, I'm really sorry I broke your table? Can you join me? I want to sit down, and this time I want a different approach. I don't want to break it. I don't even want to scratch it. I just want to see how we can use it and make it as new as possible. But you all can come join me. I've been here before. I know how to use this table. Why don't you guys come and do it with me? It's a very unpopular opinion. I know people are like, drain everyone.
Yes. Okay,
pragmatically, in 1.5 years, what will it take to have a whale of an overwhelmingly incredible candidate who we are overwhelmingly behind? Corporates fundraising, young people amplifying, women championing. It has to be a mammoth. It has to be a mammoth. And if it's not a mammoth, then it's a hybrid approach.
Okay.
Now that we're all doing analogies, we are making a stew. And the ingredients are all there. The fire, nimchuzi. The ingredients are there. The fire is lit. The water is inside. Waru, kanyama, karati, peas, all in there. It's bubbling. It's thickening. We are seasoning it. The how is what we are figuring out. I agree. Is it a bad thing? No. Should we put more effort in it? Absolutely. Are we ready for it? For the stew to be ready? The chapos we're good. Chapos, good to go. We're just waiting for the stew to be ready. Last analogy, I promise. I genuinely think all the ingredients for change are there. And I want to hear from some of these candidates that are fronting their names, and to see if there's someone there that we should then be saying, okay, you have the ingredients, you're part of this stew, we'd like, to have you on. Let's hear from David Maraga, from Okiya Omtata, as well as from Dr. Matiang'i, and get an overview of perhaps what their leanings are as far as, being president.
That request has been made. I am discussing with various stakeholders. I will make a decision, a final decision, and when the time comes, we will say whether or not we are going through that. I was head of one arm of government. There is no magic about being a head of another arm of government. Sickness cannot wait. Some of the things that need to be addressed urgently.
And I'm not one who walks away from a fight. I know there's a fight to dislodge President Ruto from power. And that's a fight I'm going to take on to see that come 2027, this country is put under a different leadership that is value-based, that believes in the rule of law, that believes in the prosperity of the masses, not of individuals, that upholds public office for service and not for personal enrichment, that punishes crime, including theft by servant, which we call corruption. I'm not a loner, but I don't compromise. That's when sometimes I appear like a loner. When I'm in a team that is not doing the right thing, I move on.
Tusipoteze imani. Let us not lose hope in our country. Tukae na imani. We are a country that is built on resilience. Hizi shida zote tuko nazo hapa, tushikane sisi wote. Siku hiyo ikifika tutavuka hiyo daraja na tutaenda mbele. Mungu atatusaidia tu fix hiyo maneno ili jetu iwe sawa sawa.
See, from the three leaders that we've listened to, one has never run for elective office, but has headed an arm of government. Former Chief Justice Maraga. One, before running for elective office, was very active on championing rights and adherence and fidelity to the Constitution and the laws. That's Okiya Omtata. He's now in the Senate, and he's playing his role in the Senate. Then there was the other one, who is an immediate former, or not immediate former, but a former minister for Interior, for Education, for ICT in the other government. He played his part, and people were really happy with the work that he was doing. He was people are happy with the work that he was doing, some work that he was doing in that government, okay? Now, those three people, if you are to rank them today in public perception, right? You'd start with Dr. Matiang'i up there, then you go to Okiya Omtata, then you go to Kina Maraga as last. If you now add in other people who've come in and said, I'd like to be president. Reuben Kigame wanted to be president even in the last election. Right. IEBC told him, you go collect your signatures, come with copies of IEDs, basically just complicated the whole issue. He was not. He is speaking and saying, I'd like another stab at the presidency. Okay? We have Bob Njagi, who came and sat here and he said, I have been in the political space for a while. I've even risen to a senior rank in ODM. I left that party because I just didn't feel it, and I feel that we can do something better. Today, those ones, the alternatives, will get just a small mention in the public discourse, and that's my problem.
When you say...
Now, we are not sitting there and saying that I want to look and interrogate Dr. Matiang'i, Kalonzo, Rigiji, Martha Karua, Eugene Wamalwa with the same strength, breadth, and time as I would Okiya Omtata. I'm like, kama Matiang'i wakikutana na Kalonzo hivi alafu kina Martha Karua alafu au inaonekana. Sasa lakini sasa Omtata, sasa unless Omtata sasa wakuwe na Maraga, and unless sasa that's my problem.
When you say public perception, what are you using as your gauge? Is it the size of the crowds they attract?
That's one.
Part of it.
Okay.
Just a casual look, anecdotal look at social media and what I see, looking at the news coverage and how much they get, look at all those things. Because
if it's crowds...
I'm using history.
Crowds are
Historically,
easily mobilized. I wouldn't worry
historically,
about that.
Mariam, this is how we have seen elections happening in previous elections. Those that have that huge public conversation and discourse end up being the top candidates. And even in terms of elections, they end up being the top with election results. Okay? Those that don't get much. Paul Muite has fought for this republic, second liberation. 2013, he was a candidate. Alipata kura ngapi unajua? Orengo, there, 2002, how many kuras did he get? Like that. We see that kind of, that's a journey that we've seen historically. This time I'm not seeing anything different.
Let's see what folks are saying. Eric from, is it Eric from Eldoret?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Eric from Eldoret. Eric, good morning. Would you like to add to this conversation?
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, mimi kulingana na mimi hao viongozi wote wanajitokeza wanataka upresident. Naona mmoja tu ndio maybe anaweza kuwa mkombozi. Na hiyo ni machani, lakini hao wengine ni doka.
Hatumpati Eric vizuri, if we can add his volume, please.
Hello, unanisikia?
Ongeza sauti kidogo, Eric.
Nafikiri ni network.
Ama ni simu.
Okay.
Eric, let's try and call you back maybe as you sort out the line and hear from you. But I'd like to hear from you, 0719-038-858. That's 0719-038-858.
You were going to...
What was I going to say? Yes, as we, talk about leadership, what we want, whether we're ready for change, interrogate all these people, I am very wary of the fact that we have cycles. We've done this before. We've had opportunities to vote out and vote out and vote out, or vote in and vote in and vote in good candidates, but never have I seen a convergence of good candidates plus an electorate that's ready enough for the change. The candidates that we've had that potentially could have been great for this country, unfortunately, were a bit ahead of their time. It was right place, wrong time. This is right place, right time. People are ready for the change. You are the person to bring it. Those two have come together. When Paul Muite was running,
wrong time.
We were not ready for change.
We weren't ready for change. That's the difference to me.
That is the difference. It needs now the seasoning. There needs to be such an intentional push, and I'm not sure I'm seeing that. I think Kenyans are reconciling PTSD, trust deficit, all of those things. But I think we need to reconcile as we work on intentionally fronting somebody we believe in. Because sometimes, June 25th happened, and it was this, incredible moment. And, in a utopian scenario, I think it would have actually led to some seriously, some changes that would not have been reversed. Unfortunately, we know how the story goes. It was co-opted, etc. Now, people are probably a bit tired. I know that we've had a lot of guests here saying, no, guys are still ready for change. But that kind of momentum to push for a candidate starts with an overwhelming push behind that candidate. Unless I'm missing it somewhere, I'm not seeing it. And that worries me, because 2027, I still like what Smallest ever said, which is change may come looking differently. Right now, the benchmark for change is a whole new government in 2027. What I'm seeing is the gatherings and the mobilization of those who, it's a power dynamic though, who have the resources, who have the ground, who have the experience. Then we're seeing those who we've just listened to, Okiya Omtatah, Maraga. Okiya Omtatah, for example, I think is a prime example of, I'm ready, I've shown you what I can do, I've shown you that I'm with you. I don't know whether, and maybe we can ask him, are you getting the groundswell of support that you need at this point to take you to the polls? Which is why I'm saying, yes, Kenyans are ready, but there's something that has arrested us into what it means to fully front a candidate. We have to move past that. I still think people are, it's so stressful, it's PTSD. We have to move past that if we want that benchmark for 2027. Who from Nakuru, Phil? Joe from Nakuru. Joe, good morning. What would you like to add to this conversation?
Now, I'm seeing like the panel which is there it's like so skewed actually to see new faces. And I'll take you back to the time when Orengo contested. I'll take you back to when Martha Karua contested. And what was that outcome? These are new faces. Now, the question we should ask ourselves is, are those people bad or portraying bad leadership or leadership for the future? When you see Umtata, he's so good. About Maraga, I'm not sure. But about Umtata, everybody can say the guy is good. But then actually the challenge which comes in is those people are propagating about new faces. They should be thinking about the readership to read who? Who do these people want to read? Are they people who are hurting, and hurting from what? What is it that they want to be addressed? Talk about the Wamunyoro. The people actually who are likely to be backing Wamunyoro, they are hurting because of 1, 2, 3. The people who are likely to be backing Matiang'i, they are hurting from ABC. And that's the nature of our politics. Now, when you look at the issues actually about the leadership actually of any particular time, it is the people who call for that nature of leadership depending on circumstances. And unfortunately, when that leadership can get into power, unfortunately, if at all they do not inculcate values which are progressive, you have to blame the existing and the past leadership for the population where they are. In an organization, the values and everything to do with the character and thinking of people, it is the leadership which is, unless that leadership itself, like when Kibaki was there, when people would say, we don't want corruption. The people are not, these leaders actually, they are not going to change. So if at all people say, okay, now we are not going to take hongo for you to give you a vote, definitely we are going to see good leadership.
So Joe,
the Wamunyoro thing is the best face to have.
Joe,
we have Hon Morara around. Yes, I can hear you.
If I may ask you, so do you think that the voter is actively yearning for change?
Definitely, but circumstantial. And change, let me tell you, change sometimes you can also find it in the leader himself changing. And I'm saying, changing actually, I'm not saying that every person actually who is in that panel is the correct person. But I'm saying some people have never got the opportunity to lead us in the position of the presidency. And for you actually just to dismiss them anyway. You can't just dismiss somebody. Martha Karua has never. Why? Unfortunately, Kenya is the way it is. Everybody knows that. Nobody wants to talk about Martha. But it's a leader whom actually Kenya will ever miss to have. Unfortunately, because of circumstances which have been prepared by the wrong leadership, Kenyans, we are in that situation, and that lineup is the correct one.
Thank you, Joe.
And better, therefore,
Asante. I think in some way, he's saying exactly the same thing. One of the reasons why then Martha Karua is not being propped as the leader of this other group is because Kenyans are like, Martha,
not really ready for change.
We have to interrogate how we want to push forward with the change.
I just want to leave you guys with one question. My memory does not serve me correctly enough. I was not politically active. 2000, but I was alive. The year is 2000, March, April, May. Could you, at that point, tell what 2002 was going to be like?
No, not to the extent,
fully.
not to the extent that it went. But there was something that was clear. Moi was leaving. Moi was there was an issue of who is going to take over as KANU's candidate, and Moi's preferred successor. One. Then there was a push for the opposition leaders to unite and forge one way of now being a credible, proper alternative with one candidate. That was happening.
In 2000.
Around 2000, yes. So by the time Raila then was moving with NDP to KANU, and Kibaki's DP, Charity Ngilu, SDP, and Kijana Wamalwa's Fort Kenya were then also meeting on this other side. It was a journey that you could see as a possibility of it happening.
All right. You're telling me that's not where we are right now?
Saizi. We can see the coalition of these leaders, Wamunyoro and others, coming together. All right? We can see the emergence of other voices, just like there were then. George Anyona was always there saying, I'd like to be president. And others. But where did the public go?
As we come back to
I think
wind
that's
up.
where we are.
Yeah, no, we'll give you a chance to just wind up. But Your World is up next. Talk Less, Play More. How instrumental covers transform popular music. Frederick Ogonda and Erwin Lawrence will be guests with Winnie and Mwikali on Your World. We'll be crossing over to that in just a moment. Mariam, you're saying you think that's where we are.
Yeah.
But
we are pre-2002.
We're pre-2000. Okay.
That's where we're at.
Okay.
The stew is on the fire.
Kenyans, if we want change, we are going to have to want to own it with every bone in our body.
It can be brought to us.
Yeah, it can be brought to us. You're going to have to be like, I'm going to be territorial about the change I want, and we have to be loud about it, and we have to be intentional about it. Otherwise, thank you for watching Fixing the Nation. Janet Boba, Eric Latiff, Mariam Bishar. Oh, wow. Philip, our director, is saying thank you to the three of us for hosting. To our fixers, to our callers. We'll be back here again tomorrow. Keep engaging with us. I don't think this conversation is over, guys. I think it's a good conversation with so many angles. So let's try and bring it back and just open the lines and see how people feel.
Yeah.
Otherwise, have a good day.